What's up, guys? I'm Jacob. You're watching the Preppers Bunker Outdoors. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about knife destruction testing. Recently, I watched some of Joey X's videos, or maybe it's just Joe X. I don't know. And despite feeling the same as many of the rest of you may be cringing at some of his methodologies, I was surprised to find some really good value in a lot of his videos, and I'm going to do some critical breakdowns of a few of them. But I've been mentioning for a few months now that this fall I plan on breaking a lot of knives, maybe like one knife a week. I think it's a good way to send off some long-term reviews. And so I've been thinking about creative and practical ways to do that. So hear me out. A couple things that I'm thinking about. For one, I'm thinking about taking a twisty, hard piece of wood and freezing it in a freezer with the knife and batoning while they're both frozen, because I think it's realistic to take an undamaged knife on an adventure with you and have to split some frozen wood or chop some frozen wood or wherever the case may be if you're in a frozen environment. I think that is potentially a good torture test. One good torture test. Another was possibly hanging wire, which is really hard on edges. I don't know if someone might try to do something like chop through a piece of chain link fence or barbed wire or something like that. But it seems like if you're at the absolute edge and doing something that is truly survival rated, that could be a realistic task potentially. So what I'm here to ask you for is help in thinking up abusive uses for a knife that could lead to its failure, that are based in potentially realistic scenarios. There are, like Joe X, there's a few things that he does that I will not do, and I'll talk about that later and talk about the effects of some of the things. For instance, when you're sitting here chopping into a piece of metal or brick or whatever and the edge is already destroyed, chances are the edge is not going to get more destroyed. It's already been blunted and the surface area of what you're hitting has increased exponentially, which lowers the amount of shock going to the blade, and you're just continuing to pound a ruined edge, right? I don't necessarily want to do that, because if you've already totally ruined a knife's edge, you're probably done with it, right? Because it's not useful for anything anymore. So there's a couple of things. Like I said, I may actually appreciate his testing more than a lot of you might realize, or might yourself. I think I'll be able to bring a little bit more value to his videos with a little bit of a critical breakdown, talking about some things, probably starting with the Hultafors GK, potentially, and I want to do a video on his testing of the Tops Operator 7. There are some very good data points in that video and design elements. And guys, I'm a knife designer, so I'm thinking about stress risers and how the blade is heat treated and practicality versus aesthetic appeal, right? So there is good value in his testing, although his methodology may be difficult at times to watch. But I want to do my own testing differently. It's what I've tried doing in the past. If you've seen me break knives in the past, I have not always done a good job of it, because it is much more difficult than you would think. Like, I understand cringing at the videos. If done right, there should be value to the videos, but it's very difficult to ramp up the amount of difficulty in each task that you do in a way that's trackable, so that you can get, kind of an even curve up to the point of failure. It's very difficult to do, especially if you're trying to keep your testing based on things that are somewhat realistic. So that's what I've got. If you've got ideas, please let me know. If you have thoughts on my ideas, frozen wood and a frozen blade and some type of hanging wire, potentially like barbed wire, and there's some important things about how it hangs as well, and why that's such a difficult task, but I'll get into that when we get there. But let me know what you think about those. I am interested in your thoughts and interested in hearing any ideas that you may have. I'll talk to you in the comments section below. As always, if you'd like to support this channel, check out the description box below. And if you'd like to become, personally involved in the channel, the Patreon's down there, the businesses are down there, the social media is down there. If this is your first time watching this channel, hang around. I've got a lot of content that I put out regularly. So, wrap this up. Have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you soon.